said, okay, because
Marcy, or who, I think that's Danelle.
That's me. Hi.
Yep. Hi.
Yeah, our email's still down. I can't send anything out. I don't know if you guys can log like in.
No,
well, I'm Andy. I fixed mine, so now I'm going to be out of control,
Oh, Christ.
and Andy will get blamed. I'm going to turn off my
You
picture.
can actually change that, Gene. You can
That's
go and
okay.
set up and change. No, I don't like that.
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah. What I don't have is the agenda, because I couldn't get on.
Neither could I.
Okay, let me see.
So they ask you to email that to our Gmail. So I have Gene's email. Bear with me a minute.
I went to the, yeah, I actually went to the town and tried to
I just
forward it
talked
to
to
myself.
Chuck.
Yeah, it didn't work.
What I can do, I think it'll be helpful because I know Mike is going to be in the car, like on the phone. He's going to be on the phone tonight. So I'm going to, I can share my screen for the agenda at least.
That might be helpful, because I was going to print off a couple pages, but like I said, the email went away.
I missed what you said, Danelle. I was switching speakers and headsets and playing around here.
Oh, what I was saying is I'm going to, I just emailed myself the packet to my my like work Gmail. So I'm going to I can share my screen so at least we can follow along in case somebody's missing the agenda or anything. All of the engineers that are presenting tonight, I've invited as panelists, so they'll be joining. They're going to be joining as panelists just so that they have the ability to share their screen for their presentations.
Okay, great. Can you do me a favor? Can you actually send me that meeting packet to my Gmail?
Yes, I will do that right now.
I appreciate that. Township emails down. Please let me know if you need the link. That was to Nell. No, Mike. Chris, no for regular. Yes for closed. Okay, we'll take care of it that way. Oh, that's why, because that link I gave you, Gene, has my name on it. Okay, I buy that.
It's changed.
Yeah, I see that. Danelle changed it.
That's okay.
Okay. Oh my gosh, what is Dave McDermott's other one?
How you doing, Andy?
Hey, Dave, how are you, buddy?
Good, good.
And you? How are you, sir? How's Dave today?
complaints here.
What's that?
No complaints here.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to swing by and beat my horn as you didn't see you out there, but it's been a busy week for me.
Good busy.
Jean called me because she was having connection problems. I was out cutting the neighbor's lawn because they're on vacation. I thought I'd try to help them out so that when they got back tonight, their lawn was done.
Yeah, sure. You always make every little bit helps.
Dave,
Yeah,
do you need the
absolutely.
closed session link for tonight?
Yes. Jean does?
I think I don't have Dave's
You could send it. I know I'm in for here.
I just texted you, Dave. I don't want you to, like, you know, give out your personal email on a Zoom meeting.
Andy, did you send me the closed session or do I need that one too?
I did not send it to you. Hang on a second.
I'm sending it over now.
Okay.
Oh, you are, okay.
Yeah.
Sending it by text message though, right?
No. Your Gmail.
You don't have, all right, you don't have Jean's Gmail.
No.
All right, I'll take care of that.
Mike? I just unmuted him.
Mike said, yeah, please unmute me.
Yeah, I just got that. He's not muted, so
Is he on the right place? I don't see his number up here.
no, he's under attendees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's no like, I don't have a panelist call-in number.
Kristen says she needs both.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay, good. I mean, the trick was to get it, if you had, you can go to the website, which app actually is up and running, and you can connect that way too.
I have to like keep logging out of the other one and logging into this one.
Yeah, I know. Hi, Rich. And Colette's on.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
We're having some connection issues because the town email site is down.
Gotcha.
So everybody's trying to connect in one form or another.
Andy and Danelle, I'm going to parrot the other request for the closed session info when you get a chance. If you could just send it to my email.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
Excellent. Thank you.
Technology is wonderful.
Okay. I just sent. Did you guys get the link, the closed session link?
Yes, got it.
Very good.
All right, Gene, I'll forward this to you. Okay, Gene, you have it. Yes, Mr. Fury. All right, hang on one second. Oh, where are you? Oh, I need the, okay. Okay. Right. Sign back in as an attendee and I'll pay attention who you are and then we'll go from there. All right. I see Mount Arlington and James Roberto right there now. So sign back in and then I'll watch for you as we're doing this. Okay. I'm listening to Mike on the cell phone at the same time here. I just got to get him hooked in. Danelle, are you on?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, you should be able to, 201-787, I don't know who that is right now, that's a call-in number, but Mike's supposed to try to call back in as an attendee, and we should be able to unmute him.
I know I did that before and it didn't work.
It didn't, okay.
No. So, I don't know.
All right,
So I just allowed him to talk.
all right, there he is now. Now you should be able to unmute him.
I did that.
Strange. All right, Mike, it's not letting you in that way.
How can I do this? Let me think about this.
Oh, hang on, I got it, I think. You should be able to unmute him. Nope, it doesn't work. If you, instead of going to the attendees, he's in the window now. Can you unmute him?
He's
No, his phone is showing muted.
I know I can't do anything. The only thing I can do is ask him to unmute. That's my only option.
Interesting.
I just promoted Kristen to a panelist. I think she, so she should be able, there she is.
Yeah, Mike, I have you on my phone. It shows you having your phone muted. Okay, interesting. Let me try to send you a link, a different link, and see if it works for you, okay? All right, Mike, I've hung up the phone. He can hear me through the speaker.
Hey, Mike.
Tell Mike I just sent him the link to his Agra site, his Agra email. Gene, by the way, I did just talk to Chuck before this meeting. Seems like our internet service provider and the provider of our mail do not talk to each other very well.
Mm.
So the IP addresses are absolutely convoluted.
You can access your email if you go to the building.
That's because the IP address is on the inside, but everybody else's IP addresses are
That's
not
what I
linked
said.
correctly.
That's what I said to you before. You can email inside the building, just not outside.
Yep.
Hey, Donnell? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Dave.
I just, I can't find the link for the closed session tonight. I know, I thought that Donnell said she sent it to me.
I believe she sent it by text message, but
Yeah,
also,
that's what I thought.
hang on a second. No, closed session, here it is, Danelle. I think she sent it to you by text message.
Okay,
Did Mike fall off? Mike Fury, did he?
He's, I was just on the phone with him. I just sent him another link to his Agra email, so hopefully he can get in that way via the link.
I'll check back and see where my stuff is here. Email.
All right. You want me to set him up to come through my phone? Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah, but then I'm gonna have to mute one or the other, so I might have to I'll have to do both a mute on this side. I can do that though. I can do that.
It didn't come through.
Hi, Mike. Yeah, I just have to reload Zoom on my phone. I think I took it off. Right, but I have to put the Zoom app back on my phone. That's what I have to do. Just give me a moment to do that. And I'll have that done. I'll call you back and merge in, or you just want to sit on tight here. Okay, give me a moment. Janelle, can you do me a favor?
Yeah,
Just read me back the meeting ID number, please.
sure. 845
Yes, ma'am.
5053
5053
8895.
8895. Okay. I'm going to mute on this side and go the other way, so just. All right, now I'm going to bring in Mike. Now he's going to try to call back in.
Are you two not connected?
He's trying to call back in, and I'm keeping both my sessions open just in case I have to merge them in. There he comes.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the participant code is in the original invite.
Okay.
It's on the bottom. It's on the bottom, yeah, because you have to put it as a participant code. And obviously I can't access my email because the email server is down.
Yeah, and I don't have any, like, because Zoom sends the emails, like the original invitations, I have no way of seeing what the participant codes are.
Well, it was in the invite. When you sent that, when you forwarded me one from Marcy, whatever it was, it was on there.
Oh no, what I was saying is that like it sends through Zoom. Like I just put in the email addresses and it sends through Zoom. I don't even send it to myself because I just log in. So I don't even know what the invite looks like.
All right, that's fine. Is everybody on?
I'm on. Can you hear me?
Is Dave on? Is Andy's on?
I'm on.
On.
Kristen? Is Kristen there?
She was.
She's there. Her name's there.
Gene, you're there, right?
Yes.
I think Kristen was looking for the participant code.
She's good. She's on.
Kristen?
I don't know if maybe she can't hear us.
And can you hear us?
Somebody needs to text her the participant code because that's how I got on. Is Kristen on?
She's nodding
She
yes.
can hear us. We can't hear her.
Well, she's gonna have to call. Someone to text her, and then she has to put the participant code in, and it's in the invite. It's 476-128. Danelle.
She says, I hear you. I need
Yes.
to check your cable.
I'm literally texting her as we're talking. I can't, Kristen, we can't hear you. She said she knows. At least I can see her nodding.
Text her to call back in, hang up, call back in, and then put all the numbers in, and she'll enter in as a participant and not an attendee, and then she could be heard.
I think she's hearing exactly what you said, so I think she's doing that.
You know what I found? I feel like Zoom support, right? You have called Zoom support. Welcome to Zoom support. Push this number. Dial this number. Turn the video camera on.
Um,
Oh my.
okay.
Never give up.
How about now?
Oh, yay. Yes.
All right.
The only one we don't have is Paul
Oh,
Carney, right?
fun.
Correct. Yeah.
Paul-
Paul's not coming tonight.
Paul Carney's not going to make the meeting.
Okay.
So let's get started.
Mike, I'm going to share my screen so that everyone can see the agenda, because I know some people can't access their agenda since they don't have access to the township email.
That's fine. So Danelle, I'm going to ask you to just lead the meeting. The way I want to do this, you lead the meeting, and when it gets to the presentations of the engineers, I'll have Kristen take over.
Okay, can you all see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Okay. And Mike, you do have to call the meeting to order, so.
All right, yeah, that's call to order. Meeting of the Vernon Township MUA, October 1st, 2020. Danelle, can you read the statement of compliance?
Sure. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 213, 1975, adequate notice as defined in Section 3D of Chapter 231 of this regular meeting was provided to the public and the press on January 20th, 2020 by delivering to the press such notice and posting same at the municipal building and filed with the Office of the Vernon Township Municipal Utility Authority, as well as posted on the website.
Salute to the flag.
Yes, salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the
I
flag
pledge
To the
allegiance
flag
to the flag
of the
of
United
the United
States
States of America
and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty and
and
justice
justice
for
for
all.
all.
Okay, so roll call. Jean Murphy,
Here,
Andrew Pitzker,
Present.
Kristen Wheaton,
Present.
Mike Fury,
Here.
Dave McDermott,
Here,
and like we said before, Paul Carney is absent this evening. We also have our professional, Rich Winter for our attorney, who is also on listening in as our secretary, myself, the administrator. I believe Sarin is on as well. So we can move on to the next item, which is open meeting to the public.
So make a motion to open to the public.
Motion
Second.
to open the public.
I'll second it.
Motion by Andy Pitzker, seconded by Dave McDermott. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, go ahead, Danelle, open it up to the public.
So if anyone wants to speak in the public, we have one attendee on here. If anyone wants to speak, they would need to raise their hand. Okay, I don't see any hands raised to speak. I also did not receive anything via email in case anyone had any questions or any comments for tonight during open to the public. So seeing that, I'm sure we could close if there's a motion.
Just checking the chat box and the Q&A box real quick. Nothing there and nothing there. Good. I motion that we close the public comments.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Andy Pittsger, second by David Dermott. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, move on. I think the next on the agenda, Danelle, is minutes.
Yes, approval of minutes. The attendance at both of these meetings, I believe, was the same. So if we could probably take them at the same time. The only person that I wouldn't call is Commissioner Murphy, because she did not come on until after that. So I'll just do the 4 if you want me to do one vote. We just need a
Due
motion.
to the situation that we weren't able to download these minutes, the packet. I mean, I reviewed it earlier, but since we do not have that packet in front of us, has everybody read that packet?
I think I would prefer to table these.
So would I. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Do you want to? Would you like to table both sets of minutes?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All right, so somebody make a motion to
Oh,
table it.
I'll make a motion to table the approval of minutes for June 18th and July 30th, 2020 to the next regularly scheduled meeting.
And I second that.
So a motion by Kristen Wheaton, seconded by Andy Pittsger. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? All righty. Next on the agenda, Danelle, is, I guess, the presentation.
No, we do have a resolution, and I don't know if you want to table this. This has come up in your discussions in the past for the property at 515 Route 515. I'm just going to bring it up on the screen, so whoever wants to see it can see.
Danelle, this is the Schottmeyer property?
Yes, correct.
All right. So the Schottmeyer property, just so correct me if I'm wrong, Danelle, the property, the building was demolished, and they're no longer hooked up. There's no intention to do any more building, and that's why they questioned the sewer fees.
Correct. Yeah, and they did receive the demolition permit. So they did demolish the property. They did demolish the structure that was there. It was inspected. The permit was closed out, and I know that it was reassessed. So there's very minimal improvement that they put on there.
I got this question for Rich Wenner, the lawyer. How does that work, Rich, according to our bylaws?
So what should have happened, Danelle and I had some conversations about this, Mike. Idea, and this is something that came up, I think at least 2 years ago, if not 3 years ago, regarding communication between the various township departments and the MUA. So ideally when something like a demolition permit is applied for, issued, and then closed out, and then the structure is in fact demolished, we would have been made aware of that and we could have adjusted the billing as needed.
And, excuse me, and this happened before. Remember the building with the bakery? And that was
Yes.
demolished. That owner did not pay sewer fees.
Did everybody, does everybody want to table this resolution, or do you want to discuss it, or you just want to table it for the next meeting?
Can I just ask, why are you looking to table it? What's the question on it?
Oh, I'm not looking to table it. I'm just asking if we want to, if everyone had a chance to read the resolution, if anybody has any questions about it, go ahead and let's talk about it.
And this was the building, this was the house that stood next to the Luke Oil. That was an eyesore for forever.
Right. I know the building.
Yeah, sat real close to the road. I know a lot of people were happy to see it go away.
don't see
Correct.
any issues. I see no issues with voting on it. One quick question though is that, so if that lot is sold,
No, that's part of the Luke Oil property.
it's part of the Luke Oil property, so it can't be sold and it can't be reconnected again. Is that correct?
If they built something, if they expanded,
Okay, then they would have to be charged connection fees again then, correct?
but well, I don't know, I think they have a connection. I
Yeah, the
think-
connection, I'm sorry for interrupting. Yeah, the connection itself is there. It's just that there's no structure utilizing the system, therefore no fees, service charges should be issued. If in the future that property gets developed, someone builds something, what have you, and then there is a subsequent connection to the system, then the charges would then commence based upon the use.
Okay.
And the only reason I know we have information on this is because when I was part of the beautification committee, I actually called Charlie Schottmeyer and asked him what was happening with that building. So that's when I found out that there was a connection. It just was not, and they were paying, but the building was just being used as a storage shed for the Luke Oil.
Okay.
Yeah, this was brought to my attention from the mayor. So that all my questions are answered. Does anybody want to make a motion to pass the resolution?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by G. Murphy, seconded by Andy Pitzker. Do we need a roll call, Danelle?
Could we have some discussion?
Sure, go ahead.
So the discussion is, you said that it's part of the Luke Oil property, but the resolution says to have all EDUs removed from billing for said property.
There's 2 lots.
Oh, there's 2. Okay, so it's not part. It's okay.
Well, it's all. the
It's
same.
all Luco. It's all Luco, but it's not. It's 2 separate blocks and lots.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, Danelle, could we have a roll call?
Sure. Andrew Pitzker,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Kristen Wheaton,
Yes.
Mike Fury,
Yes.
Dave McDermott.
Yes.
Okay, so the next section would be the RFQ responses for engineering services. So Van Cleef is first, and I just need to see, I'm not sure, where is he? Mike.
Yeah, and Kristen.
Yeah.
Kristen, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
Mike.
you can you can lead this discussion for the engineers since you did all the preparation.
Well, it was a board effort, but
I know
Sure.
it was a board effort. I know it was, but you were especially good.
I mean, I don't expect to have to do much talking. We're just gonna have some presentations. So, but yeah, thank you all for the packages, the submittals that you made to us. They were all very impressive, and we're looking forward this evening to seeing your presentations and getting some further information. So Danelle, I didn't see the letter that you sent out, so I'm not quite sure of the format that the firms were instructed in.
Yeah, so I basically told them that they would be able to share the screen tonight. So it's really up to the firms if they wanted to make a presentation or if they had PDFs or PowerPoints or whatever. They do have the ability, actually everyone should be able to share a screen right now. So I see Mike Vreeland on here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm actually logged on twice. Could you do me a favor, the Mount Arlington attendee, that's my Zoom conference room in the office. Can you raise
So
that?
I can promote you to panelist on that side. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, please.
There you go. Okay.
And were there time limits, Danelle?
I believe I said 10 to 15 minutes. Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that. 10 minutes or so. And then, kind of a question and answer period shortly thereafter.
Okay. And we did pose specific questions to the firms in our notification letter, right?
Yes.
And those questions that we posed were uniform to all of the firms.
Yes, so you all actually received, talking to the members of the board, you all received the standard questions that were sent around, and then the specific questions, there were just a couple, specific to the responses. I did send those out as well to those specific firms. There's only like 3
okay.
questions, I think, so.
Okay. So with that, I think we'd like to proceed, Mike, assuming that you can resolve one of those.
Is that better?
Microphone. That's much better. Okay.
I'm logged on my computer and also my Zoom. I brought with me tonight Mark Bannock from the firm. I had my own consulting firm for a number of years, Guerin and Breland, and we provided services in the area. And last July, I came over to Van Cleef, so I thought it would be beneficial to bring Mark. He heads up most of the water and the sewer projects, and he's a principal with the firm with a number of years of experience. So if you have any specific questions regarding the history of the firm, he would be the one to be able to better answer them. With regard to the services that we provide, I've provided water and wastewater services to a number of local utility authorities and municipalities, and I've been doing that with the Hardison Township MUA since around 2000. So I have a pretty good idea of the issues in the area, and I have a good relationship with the people over at the Sussex County MUA, and have a pretty good understanding on how things work locally. I know one of the topic points and the primary purpose for the RFP was the rehabilitation or replacement renovation of pump station number 2. And I actually have a copy of the plans in my file from the old Vernon sewer company that showed that pump station. So, we didn't do a detailed analysis, but we took a look at it just so we were somewhat familiar with that pump station. If I could just maybe introduce Mark, and maybe he can give you a little bit of his background and his position at the firm.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Good evening to the board. Just a little bit of feedback from the firm, to the questions in the RFP. I think the primary focus was relative to pump station number 2 and the replacement of that facility. As Mike mentioned, I am a partner with the firm. I've been with Van Cleef Engineering for about 26 years. I have 37 years of experience overall. That either means that I'm an experienced engineer or also means I'm getting older. That's up to your discretion. So I do head up the water and sewer division for the company, and I head up a design team with about 10 individuals that have designed more than 50 pump stations through our company's history. So we have a lot of experience with a wide variety of pump station sizes, types, locations, interconnections, etc., and have a good track record of matching up the appropriate technology with the capacity requirements of a pump station. That's an important driver in that design decision, as well as most utility authorities have kind of a wish list of things that they would prefer to see in their facilities. We're well accustomed to that as far as submersible pump stations or can pump stations or wet well, dry well pump stations, backup power supplies, buildings to house the control systems, and in most cases the backup power supply as well, valve pits, metering systems, etc. Odor control is often a design consideration as well. The experience that I've had, locally in the area, not that far from where you're at, would be relative to the folks in Tewksbury and in Clinton. Doing some work with Mike right now down in Montville, and have done a lot of work historically in Hopewell Township, Mercer County, as well as Flemington and Milford boroughs in Hunterdon County. There's also some questions about force main rehab. Many of our projects that we've done throughout the years were in fact replacement projects like this one. So we are accustomed to going through an evaluation of the force main that's in place and verifying if it in fact needs to be replaced, maintained, or rehabilitated. It sounds like you've already done a fair amount of that, in the sense is that there's some rehab needed. So we're accustomed to that process as well, as far as specifying the process for cleaning and relining a force main, if that in fact is what needs to be done. There's also some talk about expansion of the sewer service area. That's obviously a pretty common thing that we've done for many of our clients and have experience with working with DEP to establish that service area and working with utility to make sure that it's cost effective to in fact expand the service area and that the numbers still work when that's all accomplished, and then collection system design, permitting, et cetera, that we have to go through. Last but not least, there's a couple points in your list about funding experience. I have pursued an MBA in my career as well, so I've been involved with a wide variety of funding efforts on numerous projects involving conventional financing, farmers' home financing, local bank financing for smaller projects, and in the area that we're talking about here, certainly NJEIT has been part of our past experience, as well as more recently experience with the iBank system. And all these things have become more user-friendly, you might say, and there's much more interactive methods of being part of their application process. We have a young lady with our firm whose name is Irene Battaglia, and she's kind of our in-house iBank expert and has a lot of experience with all the various mechanisms to go through that process, as well as coordination with the people at iBank and DEP to make everything go smoothly in applying for funding, going through closing, and the process to withdraw funds over time. And in most cases, well, in all cases, we have coordination with the legal funding team with the authority to make sure that things work from that perspective. Mike Reland would certainly be your on-call guy and would be the point of contact with the firm. And I would be supporting him with the design and funding background as well over time. So that's just some background as far as who I am, a little bit about the firm. 12 offices, 200 employees. Water and sewer is one of the main focus points for the firm. So thank you very much for that. I'll turn things back over to Mike.
And I guess, one of the considerations in the RFP was as part of doing the renovations at the pump station was to put in a septic transfer station. So I did a little bit of research on that. I have not seen one installed at a pump station location. My experience has been that they're typically installed at a wastewater treatment plant. I do understand that there have been some installed and are currently operating in Michigan and some other parts of the country. And it seems like the common theme with these type of facilities is that you need to do some kind of preconditioning of the waste before you send it through to the pump station. So it's not as simple as backing up a hauler truck and throwing a hose or a discharge pipe into the wet well and sending it down through the pump station and out the force main. And it could be rather costly capital improvement in order to set up some kind of preconditioning treatment train. And so I took a look at a little bit of, I know SCUMA has one of these facilities, so I looked at their annual audit just to see what kind of revenue one of these facilities could possibly generate or has generated in the county. And based on the numbers that I saw there, you know, they were anticipating somewhere around $880,000 a year. You know, back calculating, you know, what their rate is for the disposal of that, you know, you could be talking somewhere around, my best guess is 14.5 million gallons in an annual year. So I just was trying to figure out, you know, if there's if it's a feasible type of thing to do. Obviously, you know, your pump station isn't located that far from the treatment plant. I think it's about 5.5 miles and probably a 15-minute trip. So you'd have to be competitive in the market in order to encourage the haulers to use your facility versus going to the county treatment plant. You know, running some quick numbers, assuming that you were able to get 3 or 5 trucks a week over the course of the year, you know, there's a possibility, I think, to generate some revenue, but I think it could potentially take a few years of operating that facility to get that money back. And then the other hurdle that I think you may face is the Sussex County MUA rules and regulations don't allow that kind of discharge into the collection systems. So you'd have to go and have some discussions with the Sussex County MUA to see if they'd be amenable to either allowing some kind of deviation from their service rules or a special permit to allow that to happen. And then I think, you know, one of the other things that you would need would be a TWA permit. And, you know, obviously improvements on the site, access looks a little bit tricky there, particularly if you're looking to bring in 2 or 3 or more waste hauler trucks. You know, you may have to make some improvements to the access, and you know, that could trigger issues with the DOT since that's not on a state highway. I know, I think one of the other things that were asked about in the RFP, or was an expanded question, was potentially bringing water service into the village center through some kind of agreement with Suez. My work in Allendale and Bergen County, the borough owns its water system and has an operational contract, and it also has a bulk purchase bulk purchase arrangement and interconnection agreement with Suez, which I helped renegotiate for an extension about 2 years ago. So I'm familiar with the process, and you know, one of my I guess observations is that it's generally cheaper to produce the water versus purchasing it. And one of the issues that Allendale has is, you know, with the bulk purchase rate, although it's cheaper than a residential rate, it doesn't necessarily provide enough margin to collect the revenue that you may need to invest in maintaining and improving the distribution system. So that's something that, you know, I would recommend that you take a look at if that's a path that you want to go down in the future. I don't know if I have anything else, if there's any open questions or specific points that you wanted to discuss, you know, regarding the RFP. You know, Mark and I are more than happy to take any questions you may have.
Did
I
anyone?
guess there's one question I have. I'm sorry, I do have one question. Do you know of any facilities in New Jersey who are actually utilizing a transfer station as well, besides SCOMA, as far as towns?
I don't know of any that are utilizing it at a pump station. There are several facilities that accept it at the wastewater treatment plant, but I'm not aware of any in New Jersey that have a transfer station at a collection system point or at a pump station.
Thank you. I guess one other question I have, as far as your firm's ability to provide construction management.
Yeah, we're a full service firm from, conceptual design and feasibility through putting together, progress prints, construction plans, specifications, funding, and then being actively involved in the construction and construction administration of all of our construction projects.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
One of the other things that we were asking was to correlate the staffing chart to the rates in your price proposal. Is that something that you can send to us?
Yes, I certainly can. I'll put together a table that'll outline the people that were identified in the proposal as being part of the project team, and what their corresponding rates would be.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
In the septage at the pumping station, you mentioned the need for preconditioning. Do you have a sense of what that might entail?
I would think it would probably involve some kind of coarse material removal or comminuting, along with equalization storage, so that you can take out whatever large coarse material that may come in, because obviously you have a pump station here where you're looking to service your customers, and you don't want to create any damage to your pumps. So there's a couple companies out there that have kind of packaged a little preconditioning treatment train. I can certainly provide some information on what we came across when we did our research. But you're looking at some kind of probably screening, and then storage. You may have some light biological treatment, aeration to prevent odors, things like that. But generally, I would classify it as conditioning, because you certainly don't want to bring it to the level that it's treatment, because then that triggers different permitting requirements.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Just remember, you might be on mute if you're trying to ask something. Okay, well, I guess with that, thank you very much, Mike and Mark. We really appreciate the additional insight, and again, thank you for your proposal to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
Good to meet you as well.
Take care.
Thank you.
So next on the agenda, Donnell, is Dewberry. And forgive me, I don't know, I don't recall which names specifically are with Dewberry.
So I believe that Patrick is on here, James, Stephen.
Good evening.
Hi.
We do have a presentation prepared, so I am going to share my screen and get that up if that's okay.
Great, yep.
So, and it seems as though no matter how many times I've done something like this in the last 6 months, I always have issues having it shown correctly. So if you could let me know is it in full screen mode right now, or is it the 2-panel mode right now?
2 panels.
It's 2 panels.
Okay. So let me switch it over. And now do you have the full screen mode?
Perfect.
Okay. So my name is Steve Banoski. I'm the Water Resources Department Manager in Dewberry's Parsippany office. I'd like to thank the MUA for letting us present tonight. So let me go here.
No problem.
We also have, also on the call tonight for Dewberry is James Chappelle. James has experience with loan programs, including the EIT and iBank for some Sussex County communities. We have Mario Ionelli, who I believe is only on via phone, and he may be muted. It may be one of the rare times where we are able to mute Mario, but I believe he's on, but perhaps muted. And then we have Patrick Radabov, who is our firm's water treatment expert and who has experience implementing transfer stations. So he's on tonight also. So the first thing, our presentation is more or less structured around the 5 items that Donnell sent to us to talk about tonight. The first item being Dewberry's work, which is similar to that which will be expected from the MUA. The first thing I wanted to highlight is, one of the key things for coming up in 2021 and beyond for the MUA is looking at the replacement of pump station number 2. And probably many of you know, maybe some of you don't, Dewberry performed a capacity and condition analysis of the pump station, and we provided calculations for projection of the flow rates for the new pump station. And Mario also, for a previous firm, was responsible for preparation of the preliminary design for the replacement pump station. So for any work relative to the pump station number 2 replacement, we would certainly be able to hit the ground running with that work. Next is, this is another pump station. This is probably much larger than what you would see for pump station number 2. This has a large building, which was primarily constructed in this manner to accommodate future treatment capability. But similar to the pump station number 2, this, although you can't see it here, this pump station has underground wet wells and valve vaults, very similar to what pump station 2 will have. For Cedar Crest Village in Pequannock, we've been working on their water and sewer system for numerous years. The last project that we worked on that we're kind of just finishing for them right now is a force main rehabilitation project. We did a lengthy analysis of their force main and ended up designing some new air release valves at strategic locations. And, as it was intended, the air release valves allowed the pumping system to be optimized, and it really increased the optimization and capacity for the pump station. So that was a force main rehabilitation project. This is a pump station that's probably very similar to pump station number 2, if the pump station itself, not the septic transfer station, is implemented. This was a sewer system expansion for the NJDPMC in conjunction with Monroe Township for a campus sewer system expansion, very similar to pump station number 2. This pump station has a incoming screening chamber, and then it has a wet well which houses the pumps, and then the third chamber is a valve and meter chamber. This project had long force main, including directional drilling and wetlands impacts and work in sensitive neighborhoods, likely very similar to what would be experienced in Vernon. For the Township of Randolph, we've done numerous pump stations replacements and rehabilitations in the last few years. Very similar capacity to what would be expected for pump station number 2. And again, some of these projects involved extensions into new service areas to pick up new neighborhoods, similar to what could happen in Vernon. For the Township of Parsippany Troy Hills, we've worked on numerous sanitary and water pump stations. The most recent project was a sanitary pump station, very similar to what would be expected for pump station number 2. And that project included NJEIT funding, which we assisted the township with implementing. Next, we're going to have James talk a little bit about experience and lessons learned on working with the NJEIT and the iBank. So James, if you could take this over for a minute.
Yep, thanks Steve, and hello everyone. Thanks for having us. So I have some experience with working with the municipality in Sussex County. There we provided some technical assistance for various funding applications through agencies, including the USDA, through HUD, and through the NJEIT, through H2 loans. Our involvement in that process included working with a grant writer, where we first identified projects which were candidates for funding, and then we provided whatever technical assistance was necessary for the particular funding agency and the application. A large part of the funding application, or maybe the most complex, had to do with environmental assessments. Basically, the funding agencies want to make sure whatever project they're funding is not going to adversely impact any environmentally sensitive or culturally sensitive entities. My knowledge of NJEIT is that it's a loan-based program, and if you meet the right criteria, it has the opportunity for principal forgiveness. But the amount, in my experience, that they will actually forgive is not really known until after the project is awarded. Real quick, some of the takeaways from both applying through these different funding agencies and also executing the construction of funded projects. One thing, some of the lessons learned that we took away is just make sure you have someone dedicated to handling the grant paperwork, since it could kind of get cumbersome. And they request a lot of different information regarding financials. And if you're not familiar with applying through these agencies, it can get a little bit overwhelming if you don't have someone dedicated to handling it.
I'm sorry, James.
One of the other takeaways.
James, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. If you, if you're not speaking, please be on mute. Somebody's doing the dishes. That's okay. Just mute yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, they were scraping plates, I think.
Thank you.
Okay, James, please proceed.
It's around dinner time, so.
It is. It is. It's all right.
No problem. Thank you. Yeah, last point regarding lessons learned. When you apply for the funding, in my experience, just be careful when you apply for it. A lot of the times the grant agencies, as soon as they award you the funding, they kind of want to get the money spent basically sooner rather than later. And they can kind of start giving you a hard time if you were, say, in the pre-planning stages, you got the funding, and then you're moving a little bit too slowly. They might start threatening to rescind the funding. So those are just a couple of takeaways from my experience. So.
Thank you, James. So the next topic is the proposed staff rates. I did provide this presentation to Donnell earlier this afternoon, probably, or this morning. So it likely this part of it probably did not make it to the commissioners yet, but she does have that to share with you. So this is our organization chart, primarily as it was presented in our proposal, the only exception being adding Patrick, who's on with us tonight, as our pumping and treatment and transfer station expert. But this is primarily what we would like to say is our senior staff or our subject matter experts. Did that change again on you? Are you back to the
Still
full
in single screen, but
No, it looks.
yeah, we're full view.
Okay. Okay. This is getting tricky on me. So here's our proposed staff rates, which includes all the staff in the organization chart plus other staff that we would anticipate working on the projects. And the one thing I'd like to, and to let you know is that for most of our projects and, for the work that we would anticipate for the MUA is that probably about 80% of the work is done at the project engineer or below level. Fourth thing to talk about is septic transfer station implementation. We do have recent experience with septic transfer stations. Most of that work has been more specific to treatment plants as opposed to standalone pump stations. But the same principles apply either way, So some of the key issues and lessons learned that we've gotten over the years is, for one, the site. You need ample room for truck movement. Most operators like to see a spill containment area. And for ease of access and to make it, a to not have staff there, you would need a card reader access control system, could commonly be used along with security cameras. The next thing is screening. Normally on a sanitary pump station, you would use something, just a manual screen or something like a muffin monster. For a transfer station, we would normally use what's called a heavy object trap, which takes out all those heavy objects before they enter the pump station. And the neat thing with a heavy object track is that can also incorporate a meter, which can be used for billing. So kind of you get two things in one there. For the pumps, normally for a pump station, like pump station number 2, we would use non-clog pumps. For a septic transfer station, we would evaluate using either chopper or screw or impeller pumps. For odor control is normally an issue. It likely will be here too for pump station number 2 due to its proximity to residential areas. A number of things can be done for that. One thing we typically do would be to use an exhaust fan on the wet well with some sort of GAC system. For the wet well, normally we would have holding tanks installed supplemental to the wet well, not separate from the wet well volume, so the wet well itself can handle the normal flows, and the septage would go into the holding tanks, which can be released into the wet well as it becomes full, so you wouldn't be operating on peak conditions on the holding tanks and the sewage coming into the wet well. One thing to keep in mind for a transfer station is it would have additional maintenance required above that, which you normally see for a regular pump station, which would include high velocity force main flushes and wet well vacuum truck cleaning. The last thing here is the treatment, and probably treatment is not the right word, but perhaps more than these things, more than the odor control and screening would be required, but that would largely be dependent on pre-treatment limits established by the receiving facility, which would likely be SPUMA in this case. And with all these things, you would need to take a careful look at the expected revenue and compare that to the capital costs required for the transfer station to make sure that whatever money you're paying on the capital is going to work out in the end as far as revenue. Next thing is water supply. So, we understand that the MUA or that Vernon is considering different options for water supply to the redevelopment area. We do have both a local water supply and water professionals and national subject matter experts in water supply. So, essentially whatever the MUA would need for water supply assistance, we could provide that. We do have, let's see here. We do have, we recognize that if work needed to be done with wells, increase in capacity, new wells, things of that nature, to do that in the Highlands can be difficult and tricky. We do have experience with other municipalities doing this type of work, and we would often team up with a local geologist. Oftentimes for our work, we use a geologist by the name of Matt Mulhill, who is a expert in these issues. So depending on what needs arose as far as water supply, we could either handle it in the house or in combination with geologists. The one thing that was asked of us is any potential conflicts with Suez, as Suez is the local water purveyor currently. We do work for Suez, primarily in New York State, not in this area. But if anything ever came up and as far as water supply issues and conflicts of interest with Suez, we would turn down any work for Suez if it came up in Vernon. So in closing, I'd like to again thank the authority for letting us present tonight, and I'd like to let the authority know that you can rely on Dewberry for your needs. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
And thank you, James.
Thanks, guys.
Does anybody have any other questions for Dewberry?
I guess I have one. We've talked about transfer stations. Do you have any in the area in which you've installed?
No, we don't. Most of our transfer station experience is not in New Jersey. It's in Virginia or Maryland or out west, actually. And most of our experience is specific to, associated with treatment plants. So, we have implemented a number of them, but, not locally and not specific to a standalone pump station.
Are you finding that the case because of the difficulties of getting it done in New Jersey as far as regulations?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess, overall, you see the transfer stations more associated with, treatment plants and not standalone. One thing that would really need to be closely looked at, and maybe this is a hurdle that others have not overcome, is to make sure the revenue model works versus the capital expense that's going to be required in addition to the pump station. I think oftentimes the revenue model for it is not great. So that's a hurdle too.
Thank you. And when it comes to freshwater, where in New Jersey are you working with freshwater supplies?
Our most recent has been, or our current, I should say, our current is we're working on some wells in Rockaway Township in Morris County.
Okay. That's all I have.
And so the work, I guess I was wondering about the work that you've done on the pumping station to date with Mountain Creek versus Vernon. Are you doing other work with Mountain Creek that might potentially conflict with any water or sewer work that we're contemplating here?
Oh, we currently are not working with Mountain Creek, and in our proposal we laid out our conflict of interest strategy should it come up in the future, which I believe we presented 3 things. One being that we wouldn't do the work for Mountain Creek if it was an issue. 2, we would create a firewall between any staff and any files and things of that nature going on for Mountain Creek project versus Vernon Township MUA projects. I'm drawing a blank on the third one, but there was 3 conflict of interest strategies that, we suggested be employed if that were to happen.
Okay, thank you.
Any other? Go ahead, Kristen.
Yeah, you mentioned the wells in the Highlands. Is that, I guess, how serious of an obstacle might that be to put in new water supply? Does it have to be strictly limited? I mean, I imagine it does have to be strictly limited to the town center area, is that a serious obstacle that we might face if we find ourselves in the position of having to sink new wells in the Highlands area?
So I guess, Mario is not with us right now, but Mario has a lot of experience with, dealing with the wells over at Mountain Creek and trying to get increased capacity there and things of that nature. So, it would be, it could probably be done, but it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be simple. It'd probably be a long process.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else have questions for Dewberry?
No, I'm okay.
Thank you all for your presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. So next is Mott McDonald. And
This
There
is
we have
Seren.
Saren.
Yes. First of all, I want to apologize if my dog starts barking. I'll try to control her. I don't have a quiet spot in the house.
It's okay.
Are the dogs going to be part of the presentation, Sharon?
She is part of my team. It's nice. I feel very outnumbered, but I've met most of our team before, so I decided I'll do most of the talking tonight. So I'll try to share my screen. I have a presentation as well. So if you could bear with me for a second and let me know when you can see it.
We can see it.
Wonderful. All right. 1 second, please. I need to fix. And we go. So good evening, and thank you very much for the opportunity to present to you tonight. I'll provide an overview of how Mott McDonald's skills and experience align with the future project needs of Vernon Township anyway. A high-level summary of Mott McDonald experience is that in the past 20 years, we have completed over 160 pump station rehabs. And we have worked on force main rehabilitations of sizes between 6 to 72 inches, up to 85 million gallons per day. And we have completed design of sewer expansions of approximately 2 million linear feet. Here I'm gonna stop, and when I say I'm sharing, are you only seeing my screen, or are you also seeing the rest of the cameras? Am I blocking your view with my sharing?
Nope, full screen.
Excellent. Okay, let me continue then. On the pump station upgrades, the project that I want to highlight tonight, I picked the Highland Manor project that we have recently completed. And the reason I picked this is the similarities with your Sand Hill or pump station number 2. Both at the end of useful life, inherent safety concerns on both of them because of the older designs. And we have similar capacities, Sand Hill 320 gallons per minute, Highland Manor 360. And they both had limited space to work in and require really carefully planning to keep the system operational as construction is taking place. And in Highland Manor, we have worked with iBank and working closely with them and New Jersey DEP, along with the owner and the contractor, really allowed a smooth execution of the whole project. The next item on your scope is the force main evaluation and rehabilitations. So 2 projects that I want to just highlight. As I said, we have extensive experience as a company, but the first item is always evaluation of the force main. And we're working on that with you right now. And following the evaluation, that's when you identify the best rehabilitation options. It's not always replacing the whole length. It is sometimes a combination of replacement, like as you can see here through open cut, or in the picture you are seeing a horizontal directional drilling, or some sort of lining. And almost always you end up having to replace the air vacuum valve, and that's what the picture you're seeing over here is. So the other option or the other project on your scope is the sanitary sewer expansion. This is both what you're going through right now, getting the expansion amendment on the waste management plant, but also physically designing and installing it. And the project I want to highlight again is a Skyline Driveway Drive Sanitary Sewer project for Morris Township that we've finished this year. Reason I picked it is similar to Vernon. It is in a hilly and rocky terrain. We have designed it with a gravity combined with low pressure sewers, similar to potentially to the areas that you're working in that you will need. You also have this system. You have low pressures in your system already. And once again, this was a funded project, and we have concluded completion of that was this summer. Next, you have asked our experience with iBank and lessons learned. So first of all, since I picked the date, 2005, we have done over $500 million of funding through iBank only. And it is a challenging application with a lot of benefits. It has changed over the last 5 years. Now, all of the applications can be done digitally. And unlike in the past, you're not limited with March and October deadlines. You have flexibility within your schedule on when to submit it. But we have to remember it is still very regimented process, and it is very involved, and it requires certain style of projects to benefit from it. And also keep in mind that the planning and design phase is also funded through iBank. They do it through short-term loans, and you can start that process immediately. And our experience has been always approach it as a team member. And if you're working closely with iBank and New Jersey DP, the process moves a lot more smoothly. Knowing where the pitfalls might be, you can approach it on time. Again, I'm going with the order I got the questions in. The next question was, are rates corresponding to the organizational chart? I am going to forward Donnell with a good breakdown of everything you've seen on our everyone you've seen on our organizational chart, with the reminder that the people identified are the leads in their disciplines. We have a lot of support system. We don't have to go out for structural. We don't have to go out for electrical, geotechnical. We have all in-house capabilities. The people I want to highlight here are the people that you will most likely be seeing in your projects. First of all, myself as the project manager. I'm also the authority engineer, therefore my rate is capped as 155. Jim, who has over 30 years of experience, would be the technical lead for the project that you might identify. Following Kevin O'Brien, with over 20 years of experience, who would be the project engineer, and Morgan would be the support engineer. Being cognizant of the time limitations I have, I'll jump into the sewage receiving station. I think hearing others speak, we all think within the same lines. First things first, the location of the facility is really going to be important. The footprint, even though it's not extensive, the units that you will need for a septic receiving station will still require a footprint that you have to accommodate for. And knowing that if you're planning to locate it in pump station number 2, and the land it is located right now is not owned by the township, this would be a consideration. The second one, as mentioned before, odor control. You're going to be very close to residential areas, potentially, and you might have to build a building around it. Following it would be the protecting the existing infrastructure. This is where, as everyone highlighted, these units are usually installed in front of treatment plants. That's what our experience has been as well. But if you're planning on putting it at a pump station, you have to really treat it, as everyone is saying, this is making sure that you can discharge according to the receiving entity's limitations. And beyond that, you would also have to consider the operation and maintenance of it. Not only the units would require operation and maintenance, but receiving systems that have automatic package systems might also be attractive, where it would get the automatic sign-in, automatic ticketing, which would allow you to be creating a station that doesn't require manpower to run it on a daily basis. And at last but not the least, of course, the permitting. And probably most importantly, doing the cost benefit analysis at the beginning of the job before a no-go decision is made. Let's see. The fifth question you had for us is the water supply infrastructure and expansion by VTMUA. For such a project, three main tasks would have to be performed. First, you have to get the asset evaluation. You have to review the water quality and water quantity. Following that, if an expansion is done, you will need someone who can also perform user charge studies for water, wastewater. We have all these capabilities. I think our involvement in the sector is well known throughout New Jersey. One project that I want to mention is the Edison Township that we have recently worked on. And this was for Edison Township, which has approximately 810,000 linear feet of cast iron, ductile iron, CCCP, asbestos cement water mains, as well as a booster station. The township was considering possible concession of these systems, and McDonald performed condition assessments, capital valuation, water distribution planning, and capital improvement planning. The township was provided with the necessary condition and value of the infrastructure to determine which assets would be a part of the concession and which ones would remain under the utility. Regarding the asset to remain with the township, they have begun the process of more strategic and focused capital planning. With that, I have to underline that McDonald also works with Suez, and the question of conflict of interest have risen. So though we believe that we can assist Vernon Township MUA in their evaluation, we would first have to discuss it with Suez and confirm that they would not also consider this as a conflict of interest. Following that, I also have to note that we have not, as McDonald, worked on any projects on Vernon Valley sewer system for Suez. And that concludes the first five. I think we had received specific questions as well, and I'll continue with them. The first one was the construction phase engineering services. As we have shared in our package, we have done a number of design projects for rehab work, and probably 80% of the design list that we have also provided the construction phase service for our customers. These include both funded and non-funded projects. And when I say funded, I'm not only including New Jersey I-Bank, I'm also including the FEMA works, the USDA funding we have done, CDBG funding we have done. So we have extensive experience, not only through planning and design, but construction phase as well. With the I-Bank, we always keep in mind that they have a very strict checklist, especially on construction phase, that you have to definitely provide those services, and they have to see proof of that. So again, we have done numerous of those, and our goal is always to deliver it on budget and on schedule. Following that, the specific questions for McDonald is our working relationship with Sussex County MUA. McDonald has been the authority engineer for Vernon Township MUA since 2012. And we have also been identified as wastewater consulting engineer for Sussex County MUA since 2013. And the way we approach them is, like the other firm suggested, is doing an internal firewall, which means that direct lines of report never crosses. I never work on SCUMA projects, and SCUMA leads never are involved with the Vernon projects. And the other question was also if McDonald or any predecessor companies worked with SCUMA as they were working on the agreement with the Township of Vernon. We have not. And the only work that we have assisted the township with was doing the design and some of the construction phase services for the town center projects that they have worked on. Town center sewer designs that we have worked on. And I think that concludes the questions. I finally just would like to state that in addition to the technical expertise and the know-how, I have personally served with commitment as the authority engineer for the past 8 years. I don't have to learn your system. I already know it in depth. I know the weaknesses, I know the strengths, and I fully understand the weight of the responsibility the authority is carrying. And I would ask for you to give us the opportunity to provide our services for these next sets of projects, which are vitally important for the authority. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Surin.
Thank you, Surin. I guess I have a quick question for you, Surin, since you've been with us so long and you worked on all this. It just, in my short time, it seems like the process of getting this sewer service area mapped out and getting our system back up to speed. Why is it taking so long for us to get this done? Where I just don't know whether it's follow-up or are we having problems with our commitment, or where are we with that? What's your opinion?
I don't believe we have any problems with our commitment. I mean, we have been tracking since the submittal diligently. We have raised it to Michelle Putnam level, attended meetings with Donnell and business administrator. And we have constantly pushed to get the answers. And whenever they required something, we have responded. The history of it, it took 2 years for them to finally be providing the comments and be satisfied with everything that we have complied with. And unfortunately, right now, they are asking above and beyond. And if I get the opportunity to attend the next meeting, I have actually additional maps. Very unexpectedly, after 2 years of pushing and pulling, now we're asked to review the existing sewer service areas. And Donnell and I have been in the meetings. Donnell knows how many times the asks are constantly changing and the information is difficult to pull. But we're still working on that. And I think some of the areas, and I've emailed the updated map that we have received, the areas that they're requesting to look at, which was approved back in 2015. So I think this is still requires correspondence, but it is nothing on Vernon's or VTMUA's perspective that has fallen through the cracks. We have been diligent at pushing it. But every time we jump a step, another one rises in its step. And I have to also note that the whole department in DEP has really changed over the past year. And we had to wait through as they had to find their footing. And just this year, back in May, I think, they even changed our reviewer. The person who reviewed no longer is reviewing our case. It might be a little too depth because, you know, at this point, this is a passion of mine to be done with that approval.
As I said during one of our other meetings, I felt like we're getting stonewalled, and I still feel like we're getting stonewalled.
I think when we have any closed sessions, I would like to go over the map and repeat some of the things Donnell and I heard this past week.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Have you seen this happen elsewhere, Surin?
I have to say, I have another client that has submitted approximately at the same time that we did. They haven't been approved, but they're a lot closer to approval than we are. I think their public hearing is going to happen this month. Did they get already approved areas to be reviewed? I've heard it elsewhere. I've heard it happen in other towns, in other reviews. But there are certain things within this application that I think requires us to not to accept it as it is proposed and are discussed further.
Thank you.
Thank you, Seren.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Any other questions? Hearing none. Thank you again, Seren. Danelle, I guess back to you.
Hello, Danelle.
There we go. I think you're muted.
Sorry about that.
There we go.
So the next thing here are the subcommittee reports for the transfer. Yeah.
Donnell, and Mike, before we go forward, can we just revisit that resolution 2036?
Sure.
Does the resolution itself have the lot and block on it?
It does not.
The reason I say this is, from what I'm understanding, the property for the house that was taken down next door to the Luke Oil gas station. Does anybody have confirmation of that?
We could Google 515 Route 515.
Well, I know what, well, here's the issue. 515, Route 515, because I was going over the address in my head. That is actually the property, I think it was a bi-level that was across the street from the Daily Bean. That's a single lot. The Luke Oil has 2 lots. So, and I know Mike said something about Howard bringing this, said something to him about it. So 515, Route 515 is now a piece of property that's for sale. And that is, like I said, it's directly across from the Daily Bean. It was a bi-level house that burned down a couple years ago. So that's why I'm asking, that's why I wanted to see if there was a lot and block in this.
Yeah, Jean, I'm looking it up in the utility account right now.
Okay, because if I mean,
Good catch.
regardless of whichever it is, if that house did connect, I'm curious if that house did connect, I should say. That's why I'm questioning it, because I didn't know if the sewer went up the road. I know the Daily Bean connected, but I question whether or not that house connected.
Okay, so I'm going to say just time out for 1 second. This is Chris. And I just so the engineers can understand where we stand. We are planning to convene later this meeting to discuss your proposals and comments in closed session. I believe the board expects to make a decision this evening. We may not, but our expectation for the firms is that you'll be hearing from us shortly with either a decision from the board or information on when we'll be making a decision. But as we'd indicated in the request for qualifications, we do expect to be getting going this fall on those projects. So it should be soon. So I don't know that we'll be making an announcement after this meeting, but yeah, we should know. You should know soon. Okay, so I guess, I'm sorry, didn't mean to.
No, I think
To
you
jerk
did fine, Kristen. Mike is having a
jerk
problem
around there.
getting back in again.
Okay. Who, are you vice chair, Andy?
Not that I know
I don't know if we have a vice chair.
of. Don't think
Or
we
what, no,
took
it
one.
was,
Actually,
Paul.
Danelle was supposed to run the meeting, so I guess we could take it through Danelle.
Paul is vice chair and he's not here. But,
Paul's vice
okay.
chair, that's right. All right, let me see if I can link Mike back in here. Call him in and see if I have to relink in the other
Yeah,
way.
it's like, oh no, he just hung up. Okay.
I guess he must have heard us. And I just have to bounce back in.
So that, yeah, it sounds to me, Jean, like we need to rescind this.
Well, I guess if Donnell is checking, because I just now, I just quick looked up the fire. I mean, 515, Route 515 was destroyed by fire Saturday night. And it looks like the New Jersey Herald article was posted on January 3rd, 2019. Time flies. So, but I know that house, I believe, has been demolished, but I don't think that house was connected to sewer. So it could just be that because the Luke Oil building, that house is what is the address here? 541 Route 515. So it's just a matter of, like I said, and working there, like I said, the 515 was on my mind. And that's, like I said, I know that number does not correlate. So just now I just looked them up.
Yeah, thank you, Jean. Thank you, Jean, for that. I can't seem to find, I'm sorry, what was the address you just said that the current address was for the actual Luke Oil?
The actual one should be 541 Route 515. And Mike, I think, I don't know if Mike's back on the.
No, he's not.
Because Mike, I think, had some information.
He's not back on.
So maybe when Mike comes back on, maybe we can revisit it.
Yeah, so right now,
Because
the problem is that I have the old block and lot and I can't look it up.
That's okay, I have that answer. What's the old block and lot?
The old block and lot is 146, where did it just go? 14401 lot 6.
That is the house next door. That is 541 Route 515. Because I actually have the old lot and blocks because I pulled up the county records when I just looked now. And so the prior lot.
Look it up because it's under a very strange name. Sorry about that. Yeah, so it should be 5.
The new one is 406 lot 7, and that's 541 Route 515, and that's the building that was next to the Luke Oil. And you said, when did you say the demolition permit was acquired?
November. I believe it was closed out in November. It's right here. It was closed on November 5th, 2019.
When did they say the demo took place?
That I do not have that information.
Well,
I just received confirmation from construction that it was closed out.
But 515 Route 515, that house, their prior block was 142 lot 2. So when Mike comes on, if Mike has, because like I said, I think Mike said something about speaking to Howard. So it could just be that both of those buildings were demolished because the house was pretty much totaled. But I still don't, it was a home being lived in. I don't know that it actually had sewer. And I think is everyone familiar with the location of that house that I'm saying?
So this one, I'll just tell you.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm across from the Daily Bean. That's what I'm just saying is the location.
No, obviously this address is not accurate.
Right. So 540, if it's the Luke Oil, like I said, I think once we wait till Mike comes back on, he may have more information. But it would be 541 Route 515. And my only recommendation would be that maybe if something like this comes up is having the lot and block in.
Yes, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And I only had the old one, so I didn't.
Yeah, and like I said, if just from the county site, when I pulled up the lot and block numbers, because I use it a lot with work, because it depends what somebody's quoting, the county records actually show both the old and the new. And I could send that to you also. So anyway, all right, I'll stop talking.
No, I think, Gene, the point you bring up is that maybe we should rescind this or table this
Yeah.
particular one and put the act and make it accurate with the lot and the block and make sure it's done right, because
Yeah.
this isn't done correctly.
Yeah, and
Yes,
that's,
I mean,
yeah,
I
and
think,
that's fine. I just wanted, like I said, because Mike, I think, had more information, but I'm fine with whatever, but it just, like I said, the number was sticking in my brain.
I would rather, I mean, I don't have a vote, but I would rather, me look into this and make sure we have the correct block and, block and lot.
Mhm.
And it's the correct property. I don't want to have the wrong thing
That's
approved.
fine.
So in that light, I'll make a resolution that we rescind the board's approval of resolution 20-36.
I second that motion.
Uh,
I can, Andy Pitsker,
Yes.
Dave McDermott,
Yes.
Kristen Wheaton,
yes.
Ian Murphy,
Yes.
and we still can't get Mike on. I
Let me
could
give him a
try
call.
and send him another link.
Hopefully he's not in a, didn't have an accident. You connecting in now? It says you're connecting to audio. All right. We just rescinded the resolution for this, removing this particular house off of there until we get the lot and block on their location of 515, Route 515. And we voted on it, but because we can't see you, didn't know where you went.
Is Mike on now?
Now Mike is on, right? You should be on.
We're not hearing him.
Mike, you're on. Can you hear us? I guess I gotta call him back.
I can't hear him.
No.
No.
Well, I can play this another way, is I can call him and I can zoom in myself. It says it's trying to connect to audio. Well, if you'll be patient with me, I'll call him myself. I'm going to mute myself here, okay?
Okay.
So I just wanted to let you guys know. So I just realized I have two requests. So I have one request regarding the Schottmeyer property, which is how it was presented with that block and lot. And I had another request for this 515 Route 515. Yeah. So I think that's where the issue is. So let me correct these, and we might have two at the next meeting.
Maybe we'll have both.
Yes.
So, and that could be the confusion, is that we're discussing one, but it's for the other. But like I said, Mike was referencing it being there, so it makes sense if it's both.
Zoom is being difficult now, so.
Donnell, I sent you the link for the Loop Oil one.
Thank you.
And you'll see the top lot and block on the left is the new one, and then right below it, it says prior.
Yeah, and it was obviously the owner in the bill too is just not, a name I would know.
And then I just sent you the 515, Route 515.
You only have access to this because you're a realtor, because it would be nice for me to have access to this. I constantly
Oh,
have
no, it's public.
I'm working on it. I have to call in instead. Just hang on a second. Join meeting. Eight, 4, 5. What was the last part? Okay, hang on.
5083-8895, is that sound right?
Yep. I'm in. I'm not, can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
fine.
All right, all right, hang on a second. Let's see if I can get Michael in here now. All right, Mike, hang on.
And Donnell, that website's very easy to use. The less information you put in, the better.
Okay. Thank you.
Well,
Okay, so just looking on that and looking on the existing sewer for 515 Route 515, which is Neil. That was the one the house burned down in June of 2019. So there's manual adjustments that have been done to this property, but the EDUs are still calculating. So this is the one I did receive confirmation from the construction department. So this one is not the Schottmeyer property. The other one, this is the 515 one. So again, that's up to the board if you guys want to do two resolutions at the next meeting for this location and then the other one.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello?
Yay.
Yeah. Fearless leader is back. I apologize for that.
Okay.
I just got disconnected. I kept on trying to dial in and it just wouldn't let me dial in.
Huh.
So where are we at?
We just rescinded, the board just rescinded resolution 2036. This is on me, Mike. There were two requests for removal of EDUs. One was for the Schottmeyer property, which is a different address, different block and lot than this one. And I got another request from Neil, who's also on 515. His house also burned down and was demolished. That's the one I have confirmation for, which is the 515 Route 515. That's on me. So at the next meeting, I will be putting together two resolutions. It'll be this one and then the other one, and we'll be using blocks and lots.
Instead of addresses.
Yes.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Okay.
Do you have to get my vote or you have to vote again or no?
I mean, we had four votes, so.
That's fine. Let's move on.
Sorry, we don't need your vote.
Nope. Let's move on.
Okay, so we had subcommittee reports for the transfer station.
So that's myself.
And myself too, I think.
And Dave, yeah. And so Janelle, you had been starting to crunch some numbers.
Yeah, so a part of this I do want to speak in closed session about because it's more like contract negotiations and hypothetical. So we can talk about the specifics there, but we did receive some information from Mountain Creek regarding the their former engineers' assessments, and I believe I sent that along to the board. So that's kind of where we are with that, and then we'll discuss the rest of that in closed session later this evening. That's kind of where we are. I mean,
Yeah.
as far as that,
Yeah,
yeah.
we didn't have too much to discuss other than those items. And also just the thought that we wanted to have an engineer on board before we, got too far into this.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Janelle?
Just to add to that, the pump station 2 is in the same situation with the transfer station. Did someone have something to say? I cut somebody off.
Yeah, that's right. I just, I still don't have the, I don't have the encode for the executive session. I tried looking for it.
okay.
I think that, could you try resending it?
Yeah, Dave, can you send me, because I can't send it from the township. So can you do me a favor and just text me your personal email, and I'll send it from my Gmail account?
Or
Yeah, sure.
I can just text him the number also.
Oh, that works too.
Okay.
All right, hang on. I'll send you my personal email. Right, here we go. Okay. Email.
All right. On the sewer service area map or sewer service area.
Yeah.
The only update I can give, and Danelle could probably add to this, is that where we at in the last meeting, where the DEP wants us to take out properties out of the town center, which we're not in favor of. I'm not even remotely in favor. I don't think anybody else is in favor of doing that. They did have a meeting. Danelle, you had a meeting on last Friday with Sarin. Why don't you explain what happened?
Yeah, I was going to address this in my comment in my update, but I can do that now. So Sarin and I met with Paul, and the mayor was actually here for part of it as well. And Paul just sent us over today some of the backup for the map. It has a lot of files. I don't have like engineering programs on my computer, so Sarin will be putting together the actual map. Paul was set back a couple of days because he was having issues with it himself. So anyway, she's going to put together the map that Paul was going over, and he went through every single area of our existing sewer service area map. I made it very clear, and Sarin made it very clear that really the behavior of the DEP is kind of unacceptable at this point with regards to the township, and the fact that it's taken, like Sarin had mentioned before, 2 to 3 years of carving out specific areas for the expansion. I mean, if you look at the expansion map, there are literally like portions of blocks and lots that are carved out specifically that would be part of the proposed expanded areas. And now they're wanting to sink their teeth into the existing sewer service area. There were some areas in the map that he was showing us that were removed now, not removed. They're no longer of concern of ours, like being asked to remove them. So that's a positive. But the areas that they did have concern with, Legends is a very big one. And I think that's something that we are going to have to address at some point with any of the blocks and lots. And I don't want to like tell you which areas they are yet, because I haven't seen the actual map that he has sent to us. So I will be sending that literally as soon as I get it. But some of the areas that he was talking about, if the board decides to have those removed, they do have to notify the property owners. The property owners do have the ability to say that they don't want that removed, but and the DEP can take into consideration how they feel, but they necessarily don't have to listen to them. Those property owners could also apply for an amendment, which I know we talked about at the last meeting with regards to the Kelly farm. And I did receive information from Jean, and then I checked with, I think I included it in the packet too. I checked with Marcy about the backup for the resolutions that were passed by the township to request and support those amendments. And I believe that they are obviously in the existing sewer service area. So they did go through that, and that property owner had to pay for that themselves. So that is of concern, and I did bring that to Paul DeMuro's attention. I don't necessarily think the DEP cares too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically.
So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, we're at their.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the DEP is very hard. Let me jump in. I deal with the DEP all the time, and as well as Kristen, and they're being unreasonable. And I spoke to Howard and the mayor and said we're going to get to the point where he needs to make phone calls on our behalf to people in the governor's office. He doesn't even need to go to the commissioner's office. He needs to go to the governor's office and really say this is just completely unacceptable. We're not going to take property out of sewer service areas and affect development, and it's just not going to fly. So they need to put that pressure on. Howard needs to put that pressure on the DEP to get them to move. And hopefully that will get the process moving in the right direction. Because we have done everything. We had to do in order to respond to the DEP. At this point, I am extremely comfortable, and hopefully everybody on the board is comfortable with exerting some kind of political pressure with the DEP, because this is the only way you're going to move the DEP. And the contact that I had, Michelle Putnam, who was the assistant commissioner, she retired at the end of September, which is disappointing because she was very easy to deal with. But we're going to be dealing with another assistant commissioner that's going to slow things down, and we can't afford to slow things down. So I've asked Howard to do that, and I think that's where we're at. This is what we're going to have to wait for. So does everyone agree with that approach?
It definitely seems to me like that's where we've got to. Doesn't seem like anything else is. Yeah.
Well, and
we're not. Yeah.
Because I just wanted to say too, and this goes to like the financing portion of my update I was going to give tonight. Not only are they doing this for the sewer service expansion area, but as you know, I've reported in the past couple meetings. We submitted our application to iBank for Pump Station 2. And, they say like, oh, these people are supposed to review it and they're supposed to get back to you, and nobody's gotten back to us. I emailed, they appointed 3 reviewers for the application. I've emailed them twice now. I've heard nothing back from them. I called them this morning, and I spoke with Mary down there, who's very helpful. She's the one who actually helped get me set up and stuff last year or whenever that was. And she goes in and she's like, oh, well, when did you submit it? And she reviews it and she goes, oh, that long ago. And she basically said like, she has no explanation for it. It's really not acceptable. And even in her opinion, and the problem with it is that those 3 reviewers that we emailed can't even look at our application until the DEP does a basic overall review. The application we submitted, you guys have copies of it. It is very simple. It's not like there's any engineering detail. It's a very, very simple, like, they have to look at it and review it. So it's basically, they haven't even reviewed it yet. We can't even submit a letter of intent until they review it and do the very first step of the process. So they're holding up that, and there's no real explanation why it wasn't done yet.
Well, let's ask Howard while he's making a phone call to motivate that department too. All right.
Yeah. If I might add,
you're not going to.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just, Gina, just before you have to say, I have some experience with another town who's going for financing right now, and the same thing is happening to them. They're not even. You can't even get people on the phone to talk about funding because no one wants to get on the phone, and it's completely unacceptable. And I'm not going to tolerate it. So we're just better off, using, Howard's political influence and maybe to get to the governor's office, and then hopefully they could take us seriously. So I'd like to know if you can, when you talk to, the mayor, if you can ask him, mention this too, these 2 items that we really need. And they're 2 different departments, by the way, but we need to motivate the DEP. So Gene, you were going to say something?
Well, I wanted to just mention, because after that meeting, I went looking also for resolutions, and I don't know if you found it or looked for it or whatever, but the MUA did pass a resolution on that block 183 lot 15
Mhm.
back in 2014. So I'm not sure if you've located that.
That one
It's
I will pull that
resolution
one.
1406.
Yeah, I do have the township one, but I'll pull the MUA one too.
Yeah, that's the MUA one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's very frustrating because I did say to Paul specifically about that property because he did keep bringing up that property. And I said, you know, it was specifically cut off where it is because of the issues that they had with that property and that the property owner specifically requested and went through the whole process. And he was basically like, you know, well, the property owner could say that they don't want it removed, but it doesn't really, they're not going to like take it into consideration. I don't think that they're going to seriously take into consideration the way he was speaking about it. So,
Anyone contacting the property owner?
so they would not be contacted until the township decided that they would remove that area out of the expansion map.
We didn't contact them to tell them we're putting them in to the sewer area map either. So,
Well, no, the resolutions did that.
Yeah, they actually requested. So I think going back, they weren't in the original,
Yeah.
the very first one, and then they requested it, and then the township and the MUA both passed resolutions to support that, and they went through it, and they are included in the existing one.
So that's all I'm saying.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
They're in the existing 2015 map.
Yes.
Okay, that's all right. That's clear. All right.
Yeah, they put them, and that's the only reason I'm asking is because they put themselves in and the town agreed and they are in it. So if there's a question of whether or not they're being considered to be removed, since they were the ones that initiated it, should someone contact them to say, hey, this is what the DEP's attempting, because maybe since they hired the attorney and they paid for the whole process, maybe they want to get involved. Just a suggestion.
Well, we should. Well, let me just ask the entire MUA. We don't want to remove properties from the map that's previously approved. We all seem to agree with that, right? We're not going to remove
it last meeting. We talked about it last meeting.
So,
We said no way.
Right, but I'm just.
no way.
I'm only
Yeah,
if they're trying to help themselves.
After the discussion with him, just so that you guys know, and I didn't want to talk about specific properties because I don't have the full map yet. But we did talk about the town center, the areas that were originally highlighted in red. Now, a lot of those areas, he said that he had he didn't have a concern about the town saying that they don't want to remove them because they're already developed. The majority of them are already developed properties. But he did say that this map approval, I guess with the town center going through their planning area approval right now through the state, the state contacted the DEP about these specific locations. So it's just, I think
we got to get a map.
Yeah, yes, and the state is having an issue with it because we want to include those environmentally sensitive areas in our like planning center, and they've contacted the DEP. So I think it's more than just.
May I, this is Saran. I did get their shape files converted to a PDF, and it should arrive. It should be in your inbox now. But if you want, I can share my screen if you want to take a quick. What they want to provide you now. Having said that, I just want to definitely underline not only the farm, now that this is seen as the township chapter and they're approaching the Legends as well, let's keep in mind that, Legends had their own sewer service area. So any changes, even though the DEP might say there will be public meetings, they will hear then, I think Township MUA should definitely reach out, especially to the Legends and inform them if there was any consideration to be given. But as I said, I don't know if it's a big file, if you received it Donnell, but if you would like to see it, I can share it now. Or you would have it at your disposal, I'm sure by tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
sorry, I was talking with on mute. That's up to the board. If the board wants to see it now, that's,
no, let's just share it, Danelle, with everyone, and everyone's gonna get a chance to review it.
okay.
There's too much to digest, and let's just pass it around to everybody, the map, and then we'll discuss this at the next meeting.
Okay, all right. And Seren, it might take a while for me to get it, because
Yeah.
our email's down, so.
So let me know. I'll find another mechanism to get it to you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, so moving on. The only update from the water supply subcommittee, we met with Suez. Danelle, you want to just talk about, I know one of the things that you're looking at was contacting, again, some funding sources on the water supply side. Did you have any success doing that?
Well, so I did send out some questions to Tony, Vincente, is that how you say his last name?
Right.
With regards to a couple of the questions that I wanted to ask during the meeting, but the meeting ran a little bit long. So I think I want to hear what he has to say first. And then it's up to the township and the board if they want to talk about, franchise areas and how they want to move forward. I can find it from iBank, but the issue too is, and Mike, you and I have talked about this, that I hear different things about the funding. Some people are having, it's easy to get funding from them. So there are some projects that are approved easily, and then other ones they're not even considering. So,
right.
I could read iBank, but
You know what? Something was interesting during that meeting, Danelle,
yes,
with Suez, and we were talking about putting pipeline in down 515 into 94. Suez did mention they'd be willing to pay for that pipe.
Yes, they did.
During the meeting. So I think what we need to do is have a follow-up meeting with Suez and just and then get an idea of where they're at. Just to let everybody know that there's a certain amount of money that has to be spent to bring water to town center, and all that's detailed in the packages we sent out to everybody. So I think it's just best if you just review that package, for the water supply, and we'll make that an agenda item for the next meeting, and then we could talk about it again.
So the next, finance subcommittee. I can go over this now. I did send around a packet to you guys with regards to the unpaid balances that we currently have. We just finished the quarter. We just finished the quarter, so I don't, I can run my reports probably in a day or two for the end of the quarter to get you the actual numbers that we have, as of 9:30 when we close out the books for this quarter. But there's obviously one specific entity that has not paid any of their sewer fees for this year. That being said, I have spoken to the township. I've spoken to the township administrator. I've spoken to the mayor. I've spoken to the construction code official. I've spoken to the township attorney with regards to there's an existing township ordinance and enforcement for unpaid township fees and what the town is able to do and how the town's covered with moving forward. It's my stance that, taxes, any other fees, sewer fees, anything like that, if they're unpaid, that the ordinance should be able to be enforced, that those entities, any property owner should not be able to take out permits or licenses with the exception of, something that runs through ABC if those things are not paid. So I've been assured multiple times now that is what will be done moving forward, that permits will not be issued to anybody who has outstanding fees. So we'll see.
I have a question for Rich Wenner about my question about liens. Rich?
Yes.
I asked you gave us a reply, but can you go over for the board what the procedure is for putting liens on properties with unpaid sewer bills?
Sure. So if a property has sewer bills which are due and owing and remain unpaid at the end of the calendar year, then they're sold and treated in the same manner as delinquent real property taxes are. So you have a sale and the certificate is struck off and sold to a third party. If there are no third parties who purchase that certificate, then it goes to the municipality. And then it is held there, accrues interest at the rate set by the collector in January during reorg, typically 18%. And then the municipality can foreclose on that lien after 6 months of it being unpaid.
So just, is it so that we can put a lien on at the end of the December, or you have to wait a certain amount of time?
You have to wait to the end of the year and you put it on December. Sometimes you can do an accelerated tax sale.
I think we have to
and
wait.
have those,
I think we have to wait until like after January 1st, don't we? And then we can do the accelerated tax sale.
right at the end. Yep.
Yeah.
Once the year has passed and it still remains due and owing, then you can have the sale. You can either wait to the following December to have the sale for the year previous, or do an accelerated tax sale. Sometimes you have tax sales in June. But that
What's everyone's okay, thanks, Rich. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
What's everyone's opinion on this? I want to hear from the board.
As far as not issuing building permits or putting a lien on the property?
No, more the question on the lien on the property. I mean, obviously we can't control the permitting. We can only control, the collecting money. What's everyone's feeling on putting liens on properties for unpaid sewer bills?
I don't have a problem with it. I think
Anybody else?
Pay your bills or.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should do it. I mean, it's pretty, I think it's rather normal for you.
Right.
Yeah.
But basically,
You
you're
don't pay your
putting
taxes, they'll put a lien on your house or your property,
No, I just want to get everyone's opinion.
But you should wait 1 full year before you put the lien on, correct? Way I read Rich's comments, or till the end of the year.
End of the year,
You,
and then you could do an accelerated tax sale.
Yeah, I would need to speak with Lisa about how we would do an accelerated tax sale. I don't have tax collector certification, so I don't know the ins and outs of that. I can find out and let you know. I just know that we don't do an accelerated tax sale for the township.
Just so you know, on the water side, during this COVID crisis, there was an executive order from the governor not to, we're not going to shut people's sewer lines off, but there was an executive order to have everyone to agree that not to shut people off. And I think that's still in effect. I mean, I might be wrong, but my feeling is to start the process as soon as possible. What does everyone think about sending out a warning letter to everyone? Is that worth it, or is that too much of a hassle? Would that be? What does everyone think about that?
I have a question. You bring up a good point about the governor's orders. So if that is, I think the eviction, as far as evicting people for non-payment of rent, I think that order is extended to the end of the year. So I'm just wondering, before you try to go do anything like that, maybe it's best that we find out where the state is with that, because they're, if it's still in effect, then you really don't have a leg to stand on, unless Rich has any other information on that.
Yeah, I think it's still in effect. I'm not 100% certain about that. But there was an executive order. We should probably look into that. Danelle, if you could look into that, that executive order about shutdown, shutoffs, whether it's still in effect. I don't think it interferes with the process of putting a lien on. So I don't think I'm just saying that we can't shut people off. So.
But can you?
Go ahead.
But Mike, instead of starting that way, you have this ordinance for permits and building, which it seems like the particular issues that we're having are with those same people. Should we not leverage that first before we get into liens?
Oh, I definitely agree.
I think that's
It-
that you can start right away. I know there's some issues regarding it, is that we don't know whether the building department will comply with it.
Well, then why don't we why don't we draft a letter from the MUA to the town saying, putting on notice that, that these properties have not paid their bills and they should be not issuing permits, and take a stand like that. I mean, does everyone agree with that?
You can ask. I
So-
just wonder what the town's, if it's a sewer fee, you're just talking about the sewer fee?
It's
Yeah, just a sewer
it's taxes,
fee, yeah.
but it's taxes
Because
and sewer fees.
doesn't that lien come from the MUA?
But you're not putting a lien on, first you're doing is you're just stopping them from.
Right, I'm just
for
saying,
any permits.
but we'd have to find out legally if the town would be allowed to do that.
There's an
Yeah,
ordinance
and
written.
obviously we can't. Yeah, obviously we can't do that because we're not the township. But we can notify the town that these properties have not paid their sewer bills, and that we feel they should not be issued building permits.
Right, and
until they
I'm
pay their
only
bills.
asking if it's legal, that's all. That's,
Rich, what do you think about that? Is that okay? Do we have that legal authority?
Yeah, honestly, I thought we had, and Danelle and I spoke about this briefly maybe a week ago. I thought we had addressed this, and it's in the context of what we're dealing with at the time is the 515 property that you just discussed. But the issuance of permits when there were unpaid charges due and owing to the MUA, and that was in the context of discussing with the building department and establishing lines of communication so that the information was verified. That they made sure that there were no outstanding fees or assessments that were due and owing before they issued a permit. So yes, that is certainly something that, if it's not done already, can be done and implemented as part of the township's building process. It would be a collaborative effort on the township.
So I just wanted to explain, I've had multiple emails with the township regarding this with regards to permits and stuff. That was kind of what I was mentioning before. We do have, the township was informed about existing case law, and the township already has an ordinance for this. So I don't really know what else the township requires to enforce
it
this.
includes sewer fees for the MUA?
I believe it includes any fees that they need to be in good standing.
And I guess I'm only asking, I'm not trying to beat it to death here. I'm only asking because the MUA is autonomous. So that's why I'm just questioning it.
All right.
It can be figured out.
And I think that they could probably include the, checking with the MUA as part of their approval process. I mean, I don't.
But personally, if you owe any money to the town, I don't think you should get a building permit.
Right.
Correct.
So, but I'm just want to make sure that the information is correct on the books. That's all.
All right. Good. And anything else to know?
Sorry, I just brought up my list. I think, hold on. Well, I can go over, I'll just address the other things in my administrative update since we're already there. Safety review.
Go ahead.
I've got the updated safety review. I know Howie is on right now, so he and I are going to focus on, we just spoke today, we're going to focus on La Tiquette in the next month or so to bring it up to snuff. He recommended the top of the vault to be replaced with a lighter lid, so we're going to be moving forward on that. And he's going to be installing a pole to attach the safety equipment that we have. Which were I think is the last page of the safety report, that item needed to be addressed. So we're going to be moving forward on that.
Is that on pump station 3 or 2?
This is at La Tiquette at one of the lift stations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we're also working together on merging the prior 2 standard SOP booklets that we have on file into one single SOP manual. And he and I are going to go over, to kind of like streamline it and make sure that everything is in there that we need to be in there. nothing's really duplicated. And then we'd obviously give that to I guess the bylaws and personnel subcommittee can probably review that to go over that. I don't know is Howie still on?
Yes, he is.
He is. I don't know, Howie, you'd have to unmute yourself if you wanted to talk. He just corrected me, and so we're not installing the pole. There's 2 existing poles that are there at La Tiquette, and it'll be he'll be addressing those. He can't unmute himself, but that's okay.
Anything else to know?
Oh, there you are. Hi, Howie.
I don't know.
Hey. I don't know if you wanted to give an update on anything else. I just mentioned a couple of those things.
No, like you said, I do not want to put do not want to put a pole in. I would like to use the existing 2 poles to attach to the harness instead of putting another pole in there. And then, as you said, with the lid, we had an accident happen just the other day where the lid did come down on one of the guys. So I would like to use a lighter lid.
Right, so we're going to be working on getting that taken care of.
Yeah, Howie, this is Mike. So these safety issues are pretty important. We want to clear these up because we don't want anybody getting hurt out in the field. So you obviously know that, and anything you can do to help us resolve all the safety issues, that's actually of paramount importance. I think everyone on the board agrees with that.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Okay, great. So the force main eval, Soren touched a little bit on this. We need to set up a call with one of the vendors. They had reached out to me, I believe that was last week, and he had concern about the scope of the project and the existing RFP, the way it was written, I think. So we'll hopefully have a conversation with him and see whether there needs to be any more clarification for that, so we can finally get accurate quotes on the 2 portions of that RFP so that we can finally do the force main eval. I've also asked for a listing of the properties from the engineer, but if we can't get a list of those properties, I'm gonna have to go through the files that we have and compare those along with the existing sewer service area map and the financial information that I have in the system to see what properties were paid and what weren't. I'm hoping that our files will be able to show, because I know some of them that I've already reviewed have some backup information on the approvals and the connections. So the only 3 properties that I know of for sure, obviously the Faline building, Brookside Florist, which we've talked about multiple times, and Green Realty. So I will be finding out more information on at least those, 2 of those 3 properties. But I want to really get a full comprehensive list of what's not. I want to make sure that everything is hooked up that's supposed to be hooked up. Just say that. The DPW contract, the other thing, so it did not get, I'm sure we have 2 members of the council on here, they know, it did not get approved on Monday night. So I believe that administration, possibly council, wanted it to go to be reviewed by the union, or it's being reviewed by the union with administration. So that's where that sits. The Sentinels, those were obviously fully installed. They are functional. I did send around the list of the items because I know you guys had asked about that at the last meeting, what items were being tracked. So you can see what items are tracked at each location, and I will be able to run the flows monthly just based on that information. And I think that's it. Currently, that's all. That's all I have.
Good.
So,
What's next on the agenda?
Yep, next on the agenda is commissioners' comments, and then chairman's, and then the executive session.
All right, we'll start with Andy. Comments?
Yeah, basically one of the things we talked about, we didn't discuss in this one, was the Green Realty. So what I've done is I've reached out to the owner, Chuck Nagy, and I'm waiting for phone call back, just discuss with him the history, what's been done. Janelle and I have talked about it. I said, I'll try to reach out. So I did put a call in and I'm waiting for a call back. And the other thing I have is, do we want to do anything with this VTMUA newsletter that's on our website, or should we just take it off of there now? Those are my 2 thoughts for today.
It'd be good, Andy, the newsletter. Let's put this on the next meeting agenda for the next meeting.
Okay, very good.
Kristen Wheaton?
No
Any
comments. No comments today. Thank you, Mike.
Good. All right, thanks. Dave McDermott?
Just that I reached out to the VFW again yesterday, and I got their building operations manager. He is going to send me the company, the engineering company they use to do the drawing. And if I have to, I'll reach out to the engineering company myself and get a copy of it, of the drawing, and then we can move forward from there.
Thanks, Dave. Anything else?
No, that's it for me.
Gene Murphy?
I have no comments.
Okay, good. Me, I have no real comments. I think we did a good job tonight. Thanks, Kristen, for helping out and getting these engineers all lined up and all those presentations. It was a lot to digest. What's next on the agenda, Danelle?
It would be the closed session.
Closed session, which we are going to attempt to dial back in.
Yes.
Well, I think if you don't close this, I don't know if you can run 2 meetings at once.
Well, so what I'm going to do on this, so that it doesn't really end here, because this can actually be open like through 10:30. So I'm going to pause this recording on here, and then I will have to dial in on my township computer and call in for the closed session.
Okay, and make sure you mute yourself on this meeting.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to dial back in on the closed session.
Yeah, everybody has the link. Does everybody have the link for that?
Yes.
Yep. So we can close this session out,
Yes.
or we close this session out and go to the other one.
Yes, and then you'll just remember, you just have to go back and use this link again in order to get back in.
Good luck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can always use the
Thanks
link
a
on
lot.
the township website if you need to. We're just going to have to go back into this meeting. That's all.
Okay, see you there. Do we need a motion? Make a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of discussing contract negotiations.
Everyone else. Dave, can you second that?
Yes, will do.
All in
Yes,
favor?
I'll second your
Aye.
motion. Aye.
Okay.
All opposed? Abstain? Okay, we'll be back.
Thank
See
you,
you
everyone.
on Thursday.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Good night, all.
Bye-bye.
Good night.